Okay. So I think we're good. We're live. We got people watching, got people in the comments. So I will go ahead and get started as to not waste anybody's time. Hello and welcome. My name is Michael Robertson Jr. I am an author, creator, all kinds of stuff. I try to be. And this is my new monthly Facebook Live Hangout. If you have been part of my page for the last few years, you know that I used to do these on a weekly basis. I did that for about 4 years or so, and then just recently decided to change them to monthly for various reasons. But if you still want weekly updates, I am writing those in a bit of a blog form / newsletter, and you can head over to my Midnight Coffee Substack page, and you can read that there every week. It's completely free if you want it to be, and you can get your weekly updates there. But on Facebook, I've switched to a monthly live. So this is the second monthly update we've done. This is a brand new thing that I started for 2023. So we're going to go with this for a while and see how things go. So if you are watching live, please jump into the comments and say hello. You can ask a question, whatever you want. We can go off on tangents. That's fine with me. And I'm also recording these now, and they get posted. A more of a high resolution version gets posted over on my YouTube channel, usually within a day or two, if you would prefer to watch it over there. Or if you are only watching on YouTube, hello and welcome, and feel free to join us on Facebook next month in March. So that is what this is. And the format that I kept up for all those years on the weekly lives was essentially I would talk about 3 things in general. Those are usually books that I'm reading, movies and TV shows that I am enjoying, and then I would talk about any projects that I'm working on, and of course anything else random that I wanted to chat about, or like I said, if you guys had any questions or any comments that led into other conversation. So that's what we're doing. So let's go ahead and get started, and I will go ahead and open with the first topic, which is what I'm reading. And I basically have gone back and combed through my weekly updates to make sure I'm not missing anything or to cut anything out that I just don't feel like is worth talking about. So the books that I have read over the last month that I've enjoyed, I did read, I think I might have mentioned this last month that I was getting ready to read it, or I was in the process of reading it. I did read and finish Psycho by Robert Bloch, and I read it on my Kindle. I snagged it for a couple bucks when it was on sale in the Kindle store. Of course, I've seen the movie several times. It's a masterpiece. So I was curious as to what the source material looked like, because I've seen a quote from Hitchcock where, and I'm just completely paraphrasing this, he essentially said, it was kind of an easy transition to make the film because everything that was in the movie was right there in the book, in the source material. So I wanted to read it. And I got to say, I think the movie's better. The book is not bad by any means, but I think that Hitchcock's skill with suspense and the way he told that story visually really leaves a lot more of a mystique on the table to examine versus what's in the book. And I think I might have made this comment last time, but I thought it was kind of interesting that the iconic shower scene from the movie is essentially only 2 sentences in the book. So that was kind of a change, because it kind of had this build up to this, what you think is going to be that climactic moment. And it was so fast in the book. So anyway, I finished that, and then I jumped into the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. If you guys have watched any of my, or read any of my Midnight Coffee updates, I also did a post on my favorite books of 2022. And one of those books was The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. So this was a hardcover version. I read this, The Book of Cold Cases. My mother actually, when she came to visit around the holidays, she brought me a stack of some hardbacks that she had already finished reading and gave them to me. And this was one of them, along with a couple other of St. James's books. But The Sundown Motel was one of my favorite books from last year. So I was really excited to read some more of St. James's books. This one was also very good, but it did not supplant The Sundown Motel so far as my favorite St. James book. This one was a really good murder mystery, but I felt like the ghost story, while it was intriguing, that kind of tied into all this, almost kind of felt irrelevant by the end of the book. It was almost like it was just set decoration to make the book a little more interesting. Again, not bad, not complaining, but I thought there might be more of an impact there with the ghost story. But all in all, 2 for 2 for Simone St. James. I really enjoy her imagination with these stories. And then currently, I just finished today listening to Verity on Audible by Colleen Hoover. This was the third Colleen Hoover book that I have read, and the other two were Layla and Reminders of Him. And Verity was my least favorite of the three. I know this is kind of the book that a lot of people have jumped on board with Colleen Hoover with. That in the It Starts With Us or It Ends With Us, whichever one came first. A lot of people talk about Verity as being very disturbing and twisted, and that's kind of what got them into Colleen Hoover. And I can see that. And my wife listened to this book as well, and she enjoyed it. And I had trouble with it. I finished it. I wanted to know how it was going to end. But the biggest problem that I had with this book, and I've talked about this before with some other books, is when you come across a book where you find it very difficult to root for or like any of the main characters, it makes for a difficult read sometimes. And I kind of had that vibe with this book. I struggled with finding a character that I actually was like latching onto and wanted to support. And one of them is written in such a way that they're just an absolutely terrible person. And it was off-putting. And I think that's where a lot of the disturbing comments come from. Regardless, Colleen Hoover is incredibly talented. I have enjoyed all of these books, just this one not as much as the previous two. I think Layla might actually be my favorite of the three that I've read of hers, which would make sense because that one is more of a ghost story as well. And then I am currently about 65% finished reading the hardcover version of The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. And I think this is also the third book of his that I've read. I know I've read Survive the Night, and there was another one of his that I read that I also really enjoyed. So this one, so far so good. Again, this is another one of the books that my mom brought me around Christmas. So that's why I'm kind of reading more hardbacks than normal. Usually I read on Kindle, but she brought me this stack of hardbacks. So I'm having to flex my book holding muscles again when I read at night, so I don't drop the book on my head. But anyway, let's see. Where are we? Comments. Hello, Susan. Good to see you in the UK. And hello. Let's see who else we got here. Lorraine says, great movie. Martha says, reading that one. I don't know which one you're reading, but you say crazy. That could probably fit into any of the ones that I've talked about. Maybe Verity, because it's a little odd. Anyway, that's it for what I'm reading. I need to pick another audiobook to listen to. I've kind of fallen into rhythm over the last couple months, particularly since probably November, December, of reading a book and also listening to a book on Audible. And I've found that I really have been enjoying that back and forth because it helps me get through books quicker because I can listen to audiobooks at times when I can't necessarily read a book. So I'm kind of enjoying getting through 2 books at once and juggling multiple stories. And it's funny, some people have said to me before, like, how do you do that? How do you listen or read or whatever 2 different books at one time? And I say, well, you guys can watch more than one TV series at a time, right? Or you can watch multiple movies and not like really lose track of what's what. Like it's the same thing to me. It's just different stories. So anyway, okay, Martha's reading The House Across the Lake. Yeah, that one so far is very interesting. Like I said, I think I'm just judging by the width of the book. I think I'm about 60% finished, and I've been enjoying it a lot. All right, so that is it for what I'm reading. I need to find another audiobook. I'm thinking about doing the new Frederick Bachman book, which is the 3rd book in the Beartown series, but that's a really long audiobook. So I don't know if that's one of those ones where I could certainly read it a lot faster than I listen to it. So undecided. Anyway, okay. On the movie and TV front, okay, so let's just get TV shows out of the way first. The 2 shows that I have been religiously watching for the last couple months have been The Last of Us on HBO, which is phenomenal. I've said this before. I played the video game, both part 1 and part 2. They are probably my favorite video games that I have played personally in the last several years. Amazing story. And I'm watching the show, and it's fantastic. I was hesitant with the show, not because I did not think the show was going to be good. I had faith in HBO, and what I had seen from the trailers, it looked amazing. I was a little concerned about the girl playing Ellie. Not that I think she's a bad actress. She's from Game of Thrones, and that there was just something about her look with the character that in my head was jarring. But holy smokes, man, she's doing a phenomenal job. And I think my brain has reworked and has gotten out of the idea of, I should be seeing video game Ellie and just accept I'm seeing the film version of her. She is doing a great job of capturing the essence of Ellie from the game, but also making it her own. And I was just telling my wife this earlier tonight. I am just blown away by her realism with some of her emotions when things go badly or when things get emotional in the show. There's just something she has that is special, and I have been really enjoying her performance. Anyway, that show is amazing. I think there's maybe 2 episodes left. And then we've also been watching Shrinking on Apple TV Plus, which is a drama comedy, the dramedy, if you will. I think that's the new buzzword they've been using. That's got Harrison Ford in it in a role that I have really never seen him in before. And it's also got Jason Segel, who's probably most known for playing Marshall in How I Met Your Mother. And that's really, really good as well. Like one of those kind of, makes you laugh, makes you tear up all in the same episode. Little raunchy at times. I've been really enjoying that. So, and I have watched one single episode of season 4 of You on Netflix. And I love that book series. I love the TV show that Netflix has. And this season is really interesting because while season 1 of the show really well aligned with book 1, and season 2 of the show mostly aligned with book 2 with a few changes near the end, season 3 and book 3 are very, very, very different with just a few similarities. So the TV show kind of, split apart from the book. And now season 4 is out before the 4th book has actually been released. So my suspicion is the season 4 TV show and and the book 4 are potentially going to be completely different stories, which I'm all for because I think they're both spectacular on their own. And the more of this world that I get in whatever format, that's fine with me. So I've only watched one episode. My youngest girl has watched all of them and she really liked it. She said it was a pretty neat twist this season. So I'm looking forward to finishing that once I get around to it. I have not been watching a lot of TV because I've kind of been playing Hogwarts Legacy on PS5, the new Harry Potter video game that came out. And being a large Harry Potter fan and a large video game fan, this one had me really excited. So I've been actually carving out time to sit down and play video games, which is not something that I get to do very often. So I've been really enjoying that, but it's been cutting into some of my TV and movie watching. But speaking of movies, I went almost the entire month of February without watching any movies at all. I did watch one in the very beginning, which was Skinamarink, which is a little independent film horror movie that is on Shudder. And I'm having a hard time remembering where I've talked about these before. I was getting this deja vu moment, like I've already talked about this movie, but it's because I talked about it on the Midnight Coffee podcast over on my Substack. So I'm pretty sure I have not talked about it on Facebook Live. If I have, I apologize. But this is an independent film on Shudder. It is very, very, very strange. And I'll just be honest, kind of difficult to watch. It is such a uniquely told story. The visuals are very, very artistic, almost art house. It's a creative concept that I really applaud the guy for making, from having from concept to visualizing it to creating it to actually getting it out into the world. Just super, super impressed that he was able to do this. That said, even though there are some spectacularly creepy moments in this movie and the ending literally gave me chills, There's a lot in between that is like you have to just have a lot of patience to watch this movie. I know it sounds like I'm talking poorly of it, but it's one of those weird situations where the movie is quite a feat. It is one of those things where I can truly say I've never seen anything like this before, and it's got some fantastic moments. But overall, it's not one that I would watch again, I don't think. I think it could have been shorter. I think it could have been a great short film. But all that said, I'm really excited to see what this guy and what the talent that he has and what he was able to do with such a small budget, like what he's going to be able to do going forward now that this movie has gotten such praise and has been out in the world for a while. So his name is Kyle Edward Ball. It was something. It was something interesting. But anyways, that was like the 2nd of February that I watched that. And then I didn't watch any more films until this weekend. And I watched The Whale by Darren Aronofsky. And I watched Megan, the new Blumhouse horror film about the robot doll girl. So that was directed by Gerard Johnstone. And so let's start with The Whale. The Whale just completely knocked me on my ass. I wrote a post about it over on Midnight Coffee, how it was just surprisingly inspirational. I went into it knowing it was going to be kind of an emotional, ride based off the trailer, based off the, what I've read about it. Everybody's been hyping up Brendan Fraser's performance. He's won a bunch of awards for it, including the SAG Award last night. Probably going to win the Oscar unless Austin Butler takes it for Elvis. That's a toss up, I think, right now. But just heartbreaking, phenomenal performance. I mean, I was just transfixed by this movie. And, but again, it was oddly inspirational, which is some of the message that it had and some of the, lessons that this guy was trying to impress upon his students. He was an English teacher, and, also his daughter, who is played by Sadie Sink, who was also awesome. She's from Stranger Things. So The Whale just floored me. I mean, fantastic film. I want to watch it again, even though, my wife and I both just had like tears streaming down our face at the end of it. But so then I followed that up with a completely ridiculous and cheesy horror movie. It's not really cheesy. It was just, it's about a robot doll. I watched Megan 2 nights ago. And that was exactly what I expected it to be. It was fun. It's like a modern day Chucky. In fact, very similar to the Chucky TV series, where he's more of an artificial intelligence, doll versus, just the dummy doll that was possessed in the movies. And I don't want to say anything more about it. If you want a just fun popcorn flick that you don't have to think about, that was superbly made, like the special effects, visual effects, it was all really neat for this. But it's a story that we've seen 1,000 times, right? The possessed toy, the artificial intelligence that turns bad and rogue and goes after the people, that kind of thing. But it was a unique enough spin on it. I am curious as to how they're going to make a sequel, because I did see that Jason Blum has said that, Blumhouse has already like greenlit a sequel for this movie, which I don't know that it needs one, but if it's a franchise that's going to keep Blumhouse making movies, I'm fine with that. But that is available to stream for free now. Well, for free if you're a Peacock subscriber. They just put Megan up on Peacock, I believe, Friday. So if you're a Peacock subscriber, you don't have to pay more money to see Megan. And that is, by the way, that is spelled M3GAN if you're trying to search for it text-wise somewhere. But yeah, it was pretty good. I, again, don't know if I'd rewatch it unless I was just watching it with some friends that had never seen it before. Definitely not like on my list of greatest horror movies ever, but I can see why so many people liked it. And I think that if anything else, this film is getting some younger people, so the younger generation, kind of hyped up about horror, which I'm all for. In fact, the version that is on Peacock is actually the director's cut / unrated version / R-rated version. I don't know. I guess it was unrated or /R, whatever. The theatrical version was actually PG-13, and they re-edited the theatrical version to be a PG-13 movie after the success of the trailer, because so many younger kids, like on TikTok and everything, were like so excited about the trailer with the girl like dancing and stuff, that they wanted to make sure that that audience could actually go see the film. So they made it PG-13, and PG-13 horror has usually not fared very well, or is usually not very good. So this one kind of slipped in there and did something that most films can't do with that rating, which would be successful. So anyway, and I'm one of those people that admittedly, when I see a horror film that's rated PG-13, I instantly think, okay, well, that's just going to be, watered down garbage this day and age. And this film wasn't. It was pretty solid. So that's it for what I'm watching. And then in terms of what I'm working on, and I know you guys are tired of hearing me say this, and to be honest with you, I'm tired of saying it. I have not started any new projects. I am at this little bit of a crossroads where I wrote about this last week in my weekly update. I've got like 5 different things that I want to do, that I want to work on, that are all writing projects, whether that's novels or screenplays. And I just haven't been able to sit down and start any of them. I cannot choose which one. I'm at the point right now where I'm almost contemplating working on 2 at once, kind of like one in the morning, one in the evenings, or alternating. Because one's more of a fun, shorter project that I could probably squeeze in while writing one of the longer ones. But I just haven't decided. I haven't made up my mind, and I have not started writing any new words. So yeah, that's where I stand on that. The good news is, a lot of new people seem to be discovering Lance Brody, my supernatural suspense series. That is what I'm probably most known for among the majority of my audience. I've said this to you guys, and you've probably seen the posts online, but I packaged all the current books in the series into one box set, and put that up on Amazon and then Kindle Unlimited as kind of like a one shot stop, for all the books. And people are really enjoying it. That book is selling really well, and that to me means I'm getting a lot of new readers for Lance, which is really, really exciting. And that's going to be just hopefully, more people down the road that might be interested in other things that I make. So that's exciting. It's exciting that after all this time, Lance is still selling well. And I think some of you might have saw the post, but that box set actually hit #1 in one of its horror genres on Amazon a couple days ago. So that was cool. Always good to see that, that little orange flag on Amazon as #1 bestseller. Makes you feel validated for a little bit. Hard to stay there, but it makes you feel good for a little bit. So thank you to anybody who might be watching that has recently discovered Lance. Thank you to everybody who has also already read Lance and has left all of the, glowing reviews on the book that will encourage other people to buy them. So thank you for that. And gosh, I don't remember when this was. Speaking of reviews, I don't know if I mentioned this in my last monthly update. I might have, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself. I saw somebody leave a review on Amazon the other day, not for one of my books. I saw somebody leave a 1-star review on a book because they were mad that another reviewer left a review that had a spoiler in their review. So they left a 1-star review, essentially reviewing another reviewer's review. So if you ever wonder why I so frequently, without trying to sound like I'm, pleading for praise, if you ever wonder why I so frequently kindly ask you guys, especially I used to end all of my weekly updates with this. I'd always say, thanks for reading my books. If you have read them and you enjoyed them, if you could please leave a review saying so, that really helps me out. It's because, first of all, it's just metrics to start with. Books that have more positive reviews, Amazon likes those books, they'll promote them more, but it also readers like that positive affirmation when they go to buy a book, when they spend their hard-earned money or use their Kindle Unlimited checkouts. They want to get books that other people seem to be enjoying. But those positive reviews, while they do help me in that regard, they also really help balance out all of the stupid reviews that people leave for things that have nothing to do with the book or the product itself, that they just don't seem to comprehend that they're doing. You know, I've talked about this before. I've seen people that have left 1-star reviews because their Kindle wasn't working right, you know, or they something with the book formatting they didn't like, or just little things where, oh, the shipping box was damaged. They leave negative reviews on a book's product page because of things that have nothing to do with the book. Case in point, upset about another reviewer's review. So those positive reviews help balance out and erase and kind of filter out those negative reviews. So authors like myself, books, can hopefully keep those more positive rating averages to encourage other readers to maybe give us a chance and read an author they haven't read before. Susan, I'm with you on that. I never leave a negative review because what I don't like, someone else loves. And I've talked about that before as well, with how art is so subjective. Like, you shouldn't feel bad for not liking something, because again, everybody has their own taste, and art, whether it's music, film, TV, you know, photography, paintings, anything, everybody has their own taste and opinion. So it's like, you shouldn't feel guilty for leaving bad reviews. I do think, so to your point, I think you should be cautious as to why you leave 1-star reviews. Again, just be really cognizant of that, because just because you don't like something doesn't mean you have to go attack it. I talked with my buddy Jason about that a little bit in a podcast episode a couple of weeks ago, talking about slightly different, separating the art from the artist. I brought up Stephen King in that regard, how people that don't agree with him politically have all of a sudden decided to review bash him on Amazon. And I think that's just kind of a crummy thing to do. You could not buy the book. You can just not support him if you don't agree with him on certain political stances and feel so strongly about it that that's how you want to handle it. Going and like leaving hundreds of 1-star reviews on his books because he disagrees with you in a political fashion, I don't like that. But slightly different, but also kind of the same in this situation. So long story short, authors, especially smaller authors like me, who don't get $1 million advances and don't have guaranteed sales every month, please consider leaving us some reviews if you do like the book, because I promise you, we do appreciate every single one of them. I tend to not read my reviews anymore because I have found that it's overall better for my mental health, even though I have very thick skin and I've been doing this long enough to know that the negative reviews don't really affect me in a tremendous manner. They're not going to change my life. I don't have to argue with these people, whatever their opinion may be, fine. They're allowed to not like my book. They're allowed to say that I'm a crappy writer. That's fine. It's their opinion. I have just decided not to read them anymore because it's just easier. So that includes the positive reviews. All I really look at right now, while I do appreciate the reviews and please keep leaving them, I kind of just look at my review totals and my review averages now, just to kind of make sure that the book is performing the way that I hope it performs. Because if I ever do publish a book and all of a sudden my average ratings are inverted and all of a sudden I've got way more 1- and 2-star reviews than the positive reviews, then the odds are there's either something wrong with the book technically, or I have actually written a real stinker and I got to figure out what I did wrong and not do it again. So anyway, kind of like, don't read the comments online, right? Stay off of Twitter, stay off of the Facebook comments. I think it's just a happier place for everybody to stay out of those waters. Anyway, I'm done talking about that. So apologies for that little bit of a tangent. I'm done. I have nothing else to report to you guys. Again, if you want more weekly updates, hop over to Midnight Coffee. I believe that the link should be in the description for this video. If not, it's pretty easy. It's just M. Robertson Jr. for Michael Robertson Jr. So mrobertsonjr.substack, substack.com. You can put in your email address. You'll get notified whenever I have anything new come out, or not. You don't have to give me your email address. You can just remember to go browse whenever you want. I try to put them out every Wednesday. Sometimes it's Thursday. But I try to do them every Wednesday for sure. And then anything else in between that I come up with that I want to chat about, I will toss in there as well. And that's also where the podcast lives. So thank you to everybody who has shown interest in that and decided to support me over there as well. Okay. I'm done. I have nothing else to say. And I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me this evening. It's been fun. Hopefully we'll do it again next month. And if anything else crazy happens, I'll be sure to let you know. So thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, your week, and your month. And we will talk soon. Bye.